Well, we're in process on several very large projects. The I-77 project, one of the great benefits of that project is going to be rapid bus transit. In terms of mobility, it adds significantly to our region. One that is of significant importance is our Highway 150 strategic highway. I have great expectation for its ability in terms of mobility management. There are some projects on the horizon that I think have tremendous potential, not the least of which is the renovation of the old Charlotte train station and building a multimodal type facility. It will incorporate regional transit throughout Mecklenburg County, and it is my hope that we will see those corridors extended and for that effort to continue throughout the CARTPO region into other counties. I think if there's definition of transportation corridors, as we look to the future, that we develop these particular corridors such that we're able to address the needs of an expanding population. There appears to me to be a shift in terms of what we may expect federally in the future, and this is of concern. The issue will be, how will our members be able to afford the local component? How are small towns going to participate? Transit, for example, unless you are in a contractually obligated point of view, in other words, if you've committed to this process, then your funding can continue. However, for funding or transit funding that is not committed at this point, there'll be no more federal funding. One thing I think I can say with pretty good authority is that STI, the Strategic Transportation Investments, has given us a reliable predictor for funding of these projects in the future that heretofore may not have existed.
One of the biggest projects that we've all been looking forward to having completed is the I-85 widening project. That has been a big issue for this region for a long time. Along with that is the Old Beatties Ford Road interchange project, which brings a new interchange to southern Rowan County, which is going to be instrumental in driving all sorts of economic growth. Example of another project that we've recently had accelerated because of need is the Little Texas Road Sidewalk project. But in our case, that project is very, very needed, and just a couple weeks ago, that project has now been accelerated. The light rail in Charlotte is a vital asset for economic development in this whole region. Being able to tap into that is critical. If we can be a part of the effort to bring that farther north, whether that's to the Speedway and eventually to Kannapolis and the southern Rowan County area, as well as working to get the light rail extended to the Charlotte Airport, having that connection across the region is going to be vital. I would say one of our challenges also has been Highway 3 widening, and it has been funded, planned, and right now we're in the midst of the contract has been let for the project, and utility crews are dragging their feet in order to relocate utilities, and that's put the project farther and farther and farther behind.
The Rocky River RPO covers Anson County, Stanley County, and the eastern portion of Union County. We're rural. There's no other way to say it. Out here just on this highway where we're sitting, it's the local fire department's called. This is Crash Alley. It's a straight shot. There's no curves, a little hilly down at the end down there, but we have multiple crashes through here. So I took that to the Department of Transportation through the RPO. They're going to put rumble strips now all the way down from the county line to county line. That got funded, and because we were able to have somebody to talk to. We're all sitting on pins and needles here with the Monroe bypass. And when that happens, then that's going to bring double the number of cars that'll be coming down the highway here. Stanley County, of course, one of the biggest projects they've got going over there is their airport. They're going to have to expand the runway to be able to handle those big airplanes coming in. But those big airplanes coming in are going to be so much more revenue coming into Stanley County, into that airport, and to the county of Stanley. Carter from Norwood to Albemarle has had some very tragic accidents on that road. The Department of Transportation, through their safety unit, is working to get some things done on that. And we look forward to getting those conclusions and hopefully to make it safer for people to drive. In our particular situation here last year, they showed up and started paving some of our state-maintained roads within the city. But the main road that comes from Marshall coming down the highway, it goes into our town. It got bypassed for some reason. It didn't get paved. The Power Bill money is the money that the towns get to work on their streets in their towns. We need that money to stay, and we need more money to be put in there. Find the money to fix the roads, to make them usable, that people feel comfortable that their roads are going to be there all the time.
Well, I really think it's a great arm of having the elected officials that are responsible to the citizens of North Carolina to be able to have a say-so in the expenditures of what happens with our roads and our transportation system. One thing, the widening of the NC 74 over the Catawba River is going to be a huge success for us, along with the widening of I-85 from NC 273 through 321. It's going to be one of the greatest accomplishments. It's a bottleneck now, and I think it's imperative that we get that done to keep continuing the growth in Gaston County. The funding of the Shelby bypass, the NC 74 bypass around Shelby, is going to be great. There will not be any bottlenecks on the NC 74, I think, from the mountains all the way to the coast, which is a great thing for the state of North Carolina. Well, I think what I would love to see is for us to do planning well ahead of what we actually need. And I think we've gotten in a situation in our state where we are actually reacting to things that have already transpired. I realize that the needs are so great because of the money, and maybe you spend your money on things we're behind in, but I sort of pledge to get ahead of the curve and plan early enough for things you actually need. And I think mass transit's one of them. I think we've got another opportunity to be able to use rail as traffic into the Mecklenburg area from Gaston County, maybe hopefully expanding the Carolinian and the Piedmont train, the North Carolina train, from my area all the way in through Charlotte and into Raleigh, using yet again another crossing over the Catawba River to use mass transit a little bit more. It's going to be costly to do that other bridge in the southern part of Gaston County, but I think it's very important to do that to keep our economic engine purring.